You're listening to the And I Quote podcast brought to you by Coterie Insurance.
I think every agency comes in and they focus so much on growth, but I now being 6 years in and going through a couple phases of rewrite hell, I have I've just I would say that you got to think about the entire client experience and what you want that to look like.
We will be bringing you conversations with industry influencers and experts discussing a variety of topics focused on our theme because relationships matter.
Now let's dive in. Hello, I'm Ashley Burden. I'm the marketing manager here at Coterie Insurance, and I'm one of the hosts of the And I Quote podcast. I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. It's Jessica Facucci. Hi Jess, she's president and agency principal of PCRG Insurance. Been in the industry a while, since 2008. Some other fun things about you: you're a mother, a travel enthusiast, community helper, and social butterfly. So welcome to the podcast, Jess. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I wanted to give the audience just a little bit of background. We met last summer actually in person at the Unfiltered Experience in Las Vegas. It was a really cool event. It was hosted by Cassidy Arbelli and her group, Unburden Your Business. And I thought it was an amazing experience just to come together with so many amazing female leaders in the industry and in other insurance and other industries, right? And I thought it was just so cool to hear all the different speakers from different backgrounds and really learn a ton. And so you were also a speaker. I got to know you a little bit before the event, but then also you were a speaker at the event. And one of the things that I just really loved is how you shared so much about building your team and having the right systems and tools in place. And really, thinking through what it takes truly to make a business succeed with those teams. And so I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. So tell us some more about you and your business.
Yeah, busy business owner, busy mom, busy life. So,
Mhm.
got into insurance, not wanting to, thinking that this would be my career.
Sure.
But here I am 15 years later, and um, it's very much my career. And yeah, and I mean it's been so good for me, right? It's
Yeah.
been that career that you can only dream to have. It offers the
Mhm.
flexibility for my family, and I have 4 kids, and
Yeah.
so it gives me the flexibility that I need, but also allows us to, you know, travel and have like the income needs, and it's treated me better than I could have ever imagined.
That's amazing. We'll definitely get into that a little bit more, but definitely love, we follow each other on Instagram. So seeing your business and your personal travels and your beautiful family. So it's amazing really to see that and just the growth that you've been able to build both professionally and personally over the years. And so really just kind of diving into the conversation today, we really wanted to talk about like your business specifically. And really you started your business and still running it really today as a referral only business, really not buying, without a ton of marketing or business leads, and buying leads, I should say. So tell me about that? Like, how have you really been able to build that without, like I said, a ton of, as a referral based business?
Yeah. No, we've never actually done anything different. And so when I got into the industry 15 years ago, at American Family, my agency was started based off of being a referral based agency. I joined a referral based agency, and he kind of is the one that taught me the ropes of the power behind referrals and building out those partnerships. And I've never looked back. I've never done anything else, besides really just focus on those relationships. And then building a referral based agency on that is taking those same fundamentals that I was taught and building on them, and then teaching them to my team, right? And so when somebody comes in, we're not teaching them about underwriting, and we're not teaching them about how to write a policy and whatnot. We're teaching them how to go out and grow a network, because uh, I just feel like all of that, if you don't have the business and you don't have the leads, it doesn't matter if you know the fundamentals of insuring somebody, right? So we'll teach you how to do the insurance, but we got to teach you how to get clients first. And so that is really what the first year of anybody in our on our team, it looks like, is like building out that referral base, building out those partners, tapping into their own personal networks, regardless of the industry, and getting referrals from their partners and whatnot. So that has worked well for us, and we'll continue on being a referral base only agency. Nobody on my team has ever purchased a single internet lead. And we tried for a very short period of time using using pay by click marketing and whatnot, and it just wasn't a great fit for us. And so we'll stick to doing that.
Yeah, and it would seem as though I love that you said that because it would seem as though that really helps like the quality of your business as well, right? Because you know that these are referrals, these are trusted relationships. So does that really, would you say, kind of improve the quality of the business that you get in?
Absolutely. I would say that the quality of our business is something that we very much value, and we have a really high retention because of that, because of the relationship and the partners
Yeah.
and whatnot. I would say we don't quote nearly as much as a lot of other agencies. Like our quote numbers are probably not super high, but
Okay.
we win way more of that business because it is all referral, and it is
Hmm.
all just trust based and consultative. So it's not uncommon for us to spend a whole day quoting one account or two accounts, but we're almost always going to win that business.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
think a
Like,
lot of times it's teed up by
mhm.
the time they get to us, that they've already decided that they're going to work with us, as
Yeah,
long as they don't have a DUI or some
yeah,
major claims on their business, or
yeah.
whatever. And so that is kind of the second tier of creating referral relationships, right?
Yeah.
Creating the referral relationship and getting people to actually send you business is one thing. It's the second tier of when they advocate for you so much, and you've built such a strong relationship that the client's already decided that they're going to work with you before they've even gotten a quote.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing when just the reputation precedes itself and really that quality over quantity. So I love that you talked about that. And we'll come back to that too. I wanted to talk a little bit more about, building your team and your team for success. And I remember actually thinking back to the unfiltered experience, your presentation, you shared a quote that I loved. You said your job as a leader isn't to make your team happy, it's to provide an environment where your team can choose to show up as their best self. So love that. I love your whole philosophy on building out a team. So how do you go about recruiting, hiring, building your team, and even to take it a little bit further, creating that environment for them to show up as their best self?
Yeah, no, I love that you took that quote. That is literally what I use as my governing philosophy for leadership, and I try to embody that in every part of the teaming process. So from the recruiting process, the hiring, the development, the cultivating, to just getting my team to be working together, and it really comes back to your team is really your second family, right? You talk to these people every single day, and I want them to choose us as their employer, right? I want them to choose to be a part of the team. I want them to choose to show up as their best self. And if we're creating an environment and we're recruiting to that, we're recruiting the right type of people for our team
Mhm.
that is choosing to be a part of our team, instead
Mhm.
of either feeling like they're forced to be there, and it's okay to have a bad day and choose not to show up as your best self that day,
Yeah.
but also know that you have a team behind you that is going to step up, and it's worked out really well for me to recruit to that mentality and that philosophy, because I do think that it's something that gets lost in a lot of companies, small, big, mid-sized companies, is
Sure.
that the human side of business.
Hmm.
And so we care about you as a person first, and we care about the human side of business first before we actually care about the business side of things.
Yeah.
Because if you care about people and you care about their life and what they're doing, they're going to show up for you, and they are going to show up hard.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think it's interesting too, being in this industry, which can be perceived, right, as maybe competitive or cutthroat and things like that, to really truly have that team and team building. So, with that, I mean, obviously, you have some employees that are remote and some of your team that's, you're not with them maybe in the office every day. How do you build that culture around that? Maybe it's a remote team or team that's, sort of diverse and things like that. What do you do to build that culture?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's hard, right? It's hard to build culture around a remote team, and that's something that we've had trials and errors, and we've had
Hmm.
things that have worked great and things that have not worked so well, and really figuring out what each member of your team is motivated by and what drives them from their own personal goal setting, and then to keep that team culture. What I found works for my team is just constant communication.
Yeah.
So our our team chat is constantly going off.
Hmm.
We have like a text chain
Hmm.
that's very rarely work stuff, and just constant communication of what's going on, and silly things that they're running into. And then I have the expectation when I bring somebody on that within their first day, right, they have to contribute to the team chat with something that's right. They don't even know anything about really
Yeah.
insurance yet, so they can't really contribute to much insurance. But
Yeah.
I just want you to jump in, right,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
start talking. The other thing that tends to work well for us is that we do use like a junior and senior training model. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you bring somebody in and they have a senior and they have somebody that is passing their business and they're working on joint work together, and it really helps to bring them into the team because they also feel like they have some sort of ownership for this person and their success.
Hmm.
And it has really helped having like kind of like a buddy system, right,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
creating a culture, you're you're almost connecting these people based off of what you know about the two of them, and trying
Hmm.
to play match up of
Yeah.
who's gonna work together and who they're gonna partner with. But you're creating best friends.
Yeah.
And a
100.
lot of our team, it's nuts. We're spread out in 5, 6 different states, and but our team still travels all the time. And
Mhm.
so when anybody on our team is in a state, where somebody else, they're meeting up, they're working together, they're hanging out, going to dinner, it doesn't matter. So they want, what that shows me is that they want to be together, right? Like they
Yeah.
enjoy their team. They're
Hmm.
choosing our team because they're even choosing to hang out with members of their team on vacation.
Yeah. Which is amazing. I know, it's one of those things. I think about a Coterie, we're a remote first company as well, and it's really cool to see that, right? When we get together outside of, our screens, because it becomes very like one dimensional. It's like to see each other in real life, and it's those sort of like ideas and interaction that come out of that face to face that I really think you can't replace, right? And it's so important to have that. So I love that your team does that. That's amazing that you've just really built that connectivity and that culture around just being able to show up as your best self at work, and really enjoy working together as a team, because that really does go a long way. We're going to pivot just a little bit to really think about like you and your leadership within your agency. And so thinking about like growing your business, is there anything that you would recommend agency owners think about prior to growing their business or leading up to that growth?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and if I were to now, being 6 years into our Scratch agency,
Hmm.
our Scratch independent agency, I've thought about like, okay, what would I have done different now that I am 6 years in? And I think every agency comes in and they focus so much on growth, and as a new agency, you should, right? If a business
Right.
isn't there, then you're not going to succeed. But I, now being 6 years in and going through a couple phases of rewrite hell, I have I've just I would say that you got to think about the entire client experience and what you
Hmm.
want that to look like, not just from an onboarding perspective, but from what you want the claims experience to be, the service experience to be. And because where we're at now in year 6 is, I personally didn't, I focused way more on the growth component,
Hmm.
and now I'm having to go back and make adjustments to that whole entire client experience process. but we have a lot more clients now, and now we're having to train our clients to this new client experience that what
Mhm.
we want it to look like. And that's really hard to do, to not only have your staff adopt what you're trying to move things to, but also have your clients adopt it as well. And so I would say start it before you build and have a huge client base and have to make shifts. You're always going to have to make shifts and tweaks
Sure.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. But
Mhm.
what we're going through is I'm having to change my entire servicing model, and
Mhm.
not just tweaks, right? No shift,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
big changes and a lot of buy-in. And so I would say think about that entire client experience from the beginning to the end early on, and so you're not having to retrain everybody that's involved with your agency, from your employees to your clients.
Yeah, that's huge though. I love that you said that because really those internal processes that then become external processes are really key, right, to that growth and like you said, building that sustainable growth. So really important to
Yeah, I mean,
focus
if
in
you're
on that.
trying to get a client and you're trying to, narrow down your phone systems, and we have right now we have stuff that comes in from phone, from fax,
Mhm.
from email, from text, right? From, just so many different ways that clients are trying to communicate with us, that it's really hard to streamline. And so I'm that's the biggest thing, is trying to get your clients to communicate with you the way that
Mhm.
you know that systematically they should be communicating you for the best process and the best experience. But for 5 years they've been with you, and they've been able to communicate with you however they want.
That's right.
And so it's as my team grows, it becomes really hard to manage those processes of anybody communicating however they want. It's really
Mhm.
hard to manage the consistency and the message that is being presented from our team.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And really, I mean, how do because when you kind of think through that, like different processes or things, like how do you kind of assess like what's working, what you want to be doing differently, or what does that look like for you and your agency?
Yeah, a lot of it really comes down to communication with my team, right? And
Hmm.
understanding where their pain points are, and where they're struggling, and where their hangups are during the day, because I want to understand what's slowing them down, what's making them not happy or fulfilled in what they're doing, right? There could be one minor process, and they could love so many different components of their job, but there could be one minor process that is taking up so much of their day, that is ultimately taking away from their happiness, and
Hmm.
their just enjoying their career in general. And I kind of think of it as, when you are really annoyed at your husband or your significant other,
Hmm.
and it like it could just be one little thing that they're doing that's driving you crazy, but then everything else starts to bug you, like, right? You're
Yep.
just like, oh my gosh, like,
Yep.
I just need you to fix this one thing, and everything else has stopped bugging me.
Yep.
And it's really not any different with my team. And so I'm trying
Hmm.
to constantly figuring out, like, what's that one thing that's really
Yeah.
bugging you that we can fix, because
Hmm.
it starts to trickle down
Yeah.
into the rest of their work. And so when I listen to them and where the hangups are, that's where I figure out where to go next, and where to shift our focus, and what system or what process has a kink in it.
That's amazing. Well, I love that. I mean, it helps me think through everything, like even not getting annoyed with how he loads the dishwasher. Just, but thinking through like what are those little things, and I'm sure that goes a long way for you, even with retention, and like you said, making sure that that engagement across your team really stays high. With knowing that if you've identified those small little things that are annoyances or just a sticky process, that you can really kind of help figure that out and iron those out for your team. So that's awesome. I love that the way your approach and your mindset is to all of that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's impossible to not impossible, but very difficult to enjoy every interaction and every single component of your job.
mhm.
But if we can eliminate those things that essentially cause people to leave, right? If it's
Yeah.
not addressed, I'm not going to keep them very long if it's
Yep.
something that just continues to go on and on and on, and we don't make changes to it, even in my mind, if we think it's something small, it's big to them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Love that you address those things and figure that out. That's really key in growing your business and your team. So switching gears just a little bit again, wanted to think through because again, like the first opportunity that we had to meet, you were a speaker. I was a speaker as well, and I really loved. You have this really amazing executive presence as a leader in the industry. So what have you done? Because you've been in the industry, you mentioned about 15 years, and to really build your professional brand and really establish yourself as a leader in the industry.
Yeah, I think building my professional brand originally started, well, with PCRG and the agency we are now. It originally started as being wanted to be a female only agency.
Mm,
That existed for a few years, and then we broke away from that, and we
mhm,
evolved and we grew, because we have three amazing men on our team, that were good cultural fits and
mhm,
good. And so I think that positioned myself as like a female leader and a female powerhouse team, it worked great for who we were at the
yeah.
time. But
Mhm.
yeah, we've definitely had to evolve, and we've definitely had to bring on, men that fit the cultural norms of our team, and they fit in fabulous with all the girls.
That's great.
um but I think what I realized is that I evolved as a leader, and had to realize that it didn't have to just be women on my team that understood, right, the balance of, and I was always focusing on recruiting for like this work life balance, and you can be a mom, and you can be working, and you can be there for your kids, and all of
Mhm.
those. And then I I started meeting men that valued those same things just as much, and I was just like, why am I this person would be great. Why am I handcuffing myself to this idea that we have to have just this female powerhouse team,
Yeah,
as long as the people joining our team understand and value the same things
yeah.
that we position as a benefit for working for us.
Mhm.
Then great, come and join
Yeah,
our team, right?
yeah,
Because a huge reason that people join our team is because of the work from home, work from anywhere flexibility,
yeah.
be in your kids classroom and whatnot.
Mhm.
And shame on me for thinking initially that that was only women, right?
Right,
And so
right, yeah.
my brand has evolved, not to
Mhm.
be just female, but to
Yeah,
be, supportive of that lifestyle.
right,
And
right.
we were doing that lifestyle before,
Yes,
pre-COVID,
ma'am.
before the rest
Yeah.
of the world was doing that
Mhm,
lifestyle. And so
mhm.
I'm like, we're really good at it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and I think it really speaks to, like, your, like, strategic vision and just the ability to, like, adapt, right? Like you said, like, maybe you started out with this vision for how, the company would be structured and everything and what your team would look like, and then being able to have that flexibility ability to say, like, "Hey, there's other people that they still get the vision, they're still aligned with our goals and what we're looking to achieve and really build your team and what you want that to look like for the future." So kudos to you. I think you've, again, like, done an amazing job at building your team and everything. What advice would you give to someone like maybe, just starting out today, either, they're interested in getting into insurance or they've already kind of started down the path and maybe want to someday own their own agency. What advice would you give?
Yeah. I would give the advice of just, it's think of it as you got to work really hard for a few years, but it does provide you with a lifestyle that really can't be matched. But if it's somebody that is getting in the industry, what I've seen a lot, either looking to get in the industry or just joining, is don't follow the shiny object, right?
Mm,
Because a lot of people that get in insurance, they fail unless they come from a family that they've seen years and years and years. And so it's easy to get distracted with, your real estate agent friends, or people getting in the industry that are getting these really big commission checks, right? And they're like, it looks like they're part of like the sexy side of the industry. And so I think that when people get in, it's hard to lose that vision of where they wanted to be in that lifestyle when you're really not seeing much for 3 to even 5 years, depending on where you're at location. And so it's really just don't lose sight of what this industry can provide for you and your family and your team and everyone by looking at and comparing yourself to those quick hit industries.
Yeah.
Because and focus on the fact that we do have the sexy side, and it's residual income, and just continue to pound the payment and focus on that. And then all of a sudden one day you'll wake up and be like, wow, I was earning money in my sleep last night.
Yeah.
Not very many real estate agents can say that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I like that plug. But no, I think that's spot on. Honestly, I was at a young agents event last year, and I remember talking to some of them, and very similarly, it's like, whether it's like stepping into your parents' agency or starting out on your own, whatever that looks like, of like you said, like not following that shiny object, and really like just focusing in on building for sustainable growth, and knowing that there's a grind involved, but that also that as you build and like you said, kind of put those systems into place, that there's definitely some amazing growth available, and a lot of opportunity out there. So I love that you shared that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard in this industry specifically to lose sight of the end goal early on, because you're doing a lot and making a little in the early stages, right? So it's hard to keep your eye on the prize. And so yeah, that's my biggest advice, is just that it does shift, and it's amazing when it does. And so keep your eye on that end goal, and try not to just live in the now, of I'm doing all of this, I'm talking to so many people, and I'm getting paid this in
Yeah.
the beginning. So
Yeah.
weather the storm, it's worth
Yeah,
it.
great advice. That's awesome. And well, congratulations all your success, obviously last year, and just building your business. Like I said, I've really enjoyed kind of getting to know you, and seeing all of the opportunity that you've really given to growing your team and everything. So thanks for joining the podcast today, and we appreciate our listeners for tuning in. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the And I Quote podcast, brought to you by Coterie Insurance.
We will be hosting episodes with industry experts on a variety of trending topics this year, and would really love for you to listen and subscribe.
Coterie Insurance is on a mission to simplify small business insurance for agents, brokers, and our partners. To learn more about Coterie Insurance and this episode, please visit our show notes below.